So Sacred Groves is something that we're extremely passionate about as the co-founders of the company. We've been on this journey to make a difference in the environment for a while now. It's been almost 7 to 8 years. And we made a lot of changes in our day-to-day life, and you can see that we are sitting in front of our kitchen garden at the moment. But we did realize that over a period of time that we were taking these incremental actions, but we wanted to see how impact at scale can get created. And that need really came from the fact that, it's quite sad, but every 6 seconds, a soccer field of forest gets destroyed.
And as has been assessed by the IUCN, 1 million species are at risk, and about 40% of plant species are at risk of extinction. So these are very frightening statistics, and while they are very disturbing, what we believe as a couple and as Sacred Groves is there is always hope. It's never hopeless. And so we wanted to really dwell on the hope part of it and not put out any of these, although these statistics are important for awareness, we don't want the negative side of things to be the overpowering message. We want the message to be of hope, of positivity, that we can do something about this.
And also, I know we are a little idealistic about this, but we also believe that every step counts. So whatever little you do, as long as you do it and a few million people can do it as well, it can make that difference. So those are really the defining reasons why Sacred Groves, this concept sort of came up.
So if I can say, there are 3 things that we believe in very strongly when it comes to about making a difference. First is be aware. Second is be mindful of what it is that you do in your daily life. And third and most importantly, be hopeful. Tomorrow is always a better day.
So our aspiration really is to, protect natural habitats all over the world. And Monisha is very clear about the definition of what a natural habitat is, right? It's not just another set of trees. These are
so every natural habitat protects life. So any habitat which is natural and which has biodiversity is really what we are most interested in, what we feel is important to conserve. For example, a forest which has trees and shrubs and has multiple stories, that is one. There could be wetlands which support, for example, different bird species. I'm just giving examples. Peat bogs, marshlands, mangroves. Every habitat has a purpose in nature, and therefore every habitat is precious, must be conserved, must be protected.
So we're looking at a diverse range of natural habitats in pristine condition. I think one defining ask for us is that they need to be under some danger of destruction, and by getting involved as Sacred Groves, we are preventing that from happening. So we've got 2 woodlands in Wales in the UK, and if you go and see them on Google Maps, you'll see pasture land all around them. So we are convinced about the fact that if you hadn't onboarded them, then they would have
been harvested for timber, and
they would have been in a difficult situation. And we've just onboarded a forest in Nova Scotia in Canada. It's a beautiful biodiverse habitat as a part of
and
UNESCO.
Interestingly, has 5 sub-habitats, each of which is distinct, and we are very excited to be onboarding this new forest.
And it connects the ocean to a lake, so it's very pristine. But the challenge there is that hunting is allowed.
And those forests could have been, harvested for timber
as well. Because timber prices have gone up all over the world. In fact, post-pandemic, it's even gotten worse. So suddenly timber is very precious, and these kind of habitats, of course, are at a danger. So we want to expand all over the world. 2 we've started with. It's a self-funded venture, so there's only so much that we're taking things as we can manage. But we are quite pleased with the progress so far.
We do have conversations where we would like to partner with various governments, with large landowners, where we can have some kind of a partnership and help in the conservation process. Or if it is some kind of area which needs restoration, we are very interested in that as well. So various conversations are happening, And yes, we are a new company. We are, very hopeful that these conversations will translate into something concrete.
So an interesting subtext to this is the fact that we believe in assisted natural regeneration, which essentially means nature knows best.
Right.
Yeah. So when you have a piece of habitat, just let it be. Yeah. And when you let it be, nature takes over, and then it creates that level of biodiversity which is needed for an area to be flourishing. We're at Sacred Groves, Gigran Prasig, and it's a beautiful natural woodland in a very, very pristine kind of shape. You can clearly see that the habitat around is flourishing, and there's a nice deep, there's a nice undergrowth with mosses and lichens and ferns all around. So we have lots of conversations on at the moment, but the one that we're most excited about is in India, in Assam, Kaziranga. We are in talks with the government there, and the aspiration is to expand the territory of the rhino, which has been a huge conservation success story. And we're also talking to governments across the world. But I just wanted to clarify that every country requires its habitats to be protected. Yeah, so the UK requires habitats to be protected. It's seen a significant amount of challenge in its biodiversity. In fact, there's no primary forests left in the UK, and that's a matter of concern, and the government, as well as the people of the United Kingdom, realize that.
So there have been these rewilding projects in the UK where they're recently introducing the European bison, which became extinct in the UK many, many years ago. I think about a few thousand years ago. They've reintroduced beavers, which were a very commonly found animal in the UK, but were hunted to extinction. So even countries, it's, I think it is a kind of an impression that people have that these countries don't need conservation efforts,
as
but
much
they
as the
do.
others.
They all do.
Yeah, we feel every country today requires efforts, and we're very happy to be a part of that.
So the Sacred Groves is incorporated in the UK as a community interest company, which means it is a beautiful, center of a for-profit and a charity or an NGO. For community interest companies, it's for benefit, which means our purpose is to serve community. So the company is allowed to make surpluses with the condition and that it is deployed for the benefit of everyone around. Now, why we came on to this company structure was that we believe that the company should be able to be sustainable. Now, we're talking about sustainability in every aspect of life. Financial sustainability is as important. So we should be able to employ the best talent. We should be able to
invest in
serve,
technology.
The purpose that we are set up for.
Another important part of a community interest company is an asset lock structure. So whatever assets you onboard onto this company, you can never change the purpose of the asset. So when you leased out land or you purchase land for the purpose of conservation, it has to remain true to its purpose.
And that is for posterity.
For posterity. So that was one big factor that drew us towards this company structure of a community interest company. So
that's a very interesting story.
Yeah, I mean, sacred forests and sacred groves are found all over the world, and we happen to visit one, right, in Meghalaya.
So there is a little bit of a backstory to that as well. So I think past 3-4 years, Vikram and I, we had been saying that we would like to pay our respects to Mother Earth by maybe buying a plot of land as in our personal capacity and let it just go wild. So that was what we wanted to do, and we were finding it very difficult to do that. Until the time we went for a family holiday to the northeastern state of Meghalaya in India, and we visited a sacred forest which was protected and cared for by the Khasi tribe. And our guide, he walked in to the forest barefoot, and he gave us very clear instructions You can take nothing into the forest and you can bring nothing out of the forest, not even a dry leaf or a broken twig, because it's a place of worship. And it was really a spiritual kind of experience for us. And we said, this is the kind of reverence and respect all of humanity perhaps should have for nature and for, the bounty of nature that we all enjoy.
And then we reflected that, as we were growing up, we had that connection with nature. But, we got urbanized and, like everybody else's story, right? We get urbanized and there's a distance between us and the forest. And probably that was the, the moment where we realized that, we've gone too far apart, and it's important to come back and get connected, get engaged, get involved. And can we do that in a manner that is seamless and everyday? So we have an aspiration to have a global footprint. I think in the next 5 years we should have, Monisha, at least 15 forests on this platform. We are also hoping that the community becomes at least 10,000 strong. We made a good start this year and the previous year. We already have about 500 plus community members who are very active. The plan is that, involve the latest technologies so that this whole interaction experience becomes meaningful.
And absolutely seamless.
And we also want to see if there's a sense of community that can be, brought about. Because, when you look at this whole topic, only when a few million of us are involved, and are taking everyday actions. So if we can play a part in that, I think we'll be incredibly grateful.
So really with Sacred Groves, what we're trying to do is democratize conservation. Because we are leveraging the power of technology to bring all these natural habitats literally into the palm of your hand, into your phone, where you can see where is the forest, or where is that space that you are helping to conserve.
Yeah, you're right. So I think what we do is, from a organization perspective, is that the forest, we create a digital twin of the forest, divide that up into clusters, and each of these clusters then get put on the blockchain. And once it's on the blockchain, it becomes immutable and it becomes traceable. So you'll know exactly, if you come on board as a guardian, you'll know exactly where is the forest that you're supporting. In addition to that, you'll get access to essential climate indicators. So you'll know how much pollution is being removed by virtue of your support, how much carbon is being sequestered, what's the biodiversity. You'll also know what's the temperature right now in the forest that you're supporting. So it's a whole lot of these interesting, kind of capabilities which makes this whole experience a lot more engaging. On top of that, you can also gift these Sacred Grove clusters. So we've been reading about the fact that 60% of the gifts that we all give as individuals land up in the bin, and that's an unfortunate reality. So we believe that it's really interesting if you're able to express a thank you or a congratulations, or wish somebody on someone's birthday or an anniversary, and use this as an experience to extend that.
I mean, increasingly experiential gifting is becoming a big thing. And if it can be planet friendly, and if it can be, planet positive gifting, that would be an amazing experience to, share with somebody.
So in a nutshell, it's about at least 15 forests, hopefully in different countries, at least 10,000 community members, and a technology platform that makes that entire experience really enjoyable, interesting, engaging, and
absolutely seamless.
And seamless as well, yeah. That's a really interesting question. So we have a fairly elaborate process in this. So we start in any country by appointing a law firm. So when you appoint a law firm, we want to make sure that whatever regulatory and compliance requirements are there in the country are being met. And through the law firm, we then appoint valuers. So these are, and surveyors. So surveyors and valuers help us in understanding what is really the true economic value of an area, and more importantly, is it really worth preserving? Yeah. So we go through this process, and of course we've got our own forest management consultants as well who work with us.
The true ecological value as well,
Yeah.
because that is what the surveyor does.
So what we essentially try to assess is this an area which is worth protecting? Second is there a threat to this area? And by virtue of supporting this, are we able to offset that threat? So combine this together, we make an assessment, and then we're privileged to support it. I know that's a great question. We ask ourselves this every day, but I think, we're a bit mad in that sense, and it's something that we're extremely passionate about. And I just believe that there's a big gap between people who say what they want to do versus what they do. We don't belong to that space, and we will support this till as long as we can. I mean, this is our second year. In that journey, we've had a bunch of partners
Yes.
who've supported us as well, right?
It's been very, very heartening that we have had support from some corporates. We've had support from individuals who have supported us by, supporting the Sacred Grove clusters. Now, the clusters can be supported for a 10-year period at a price point of £40 or $50. Now, it's a very small amount if you actually see in the larger scheme of things. It's something which a child would even get on a festival or for the
Yeah.
new year,
Yeah.
which a motivated individual can very easily support, and it is the price maybe of a bouquet of red roses in Europe or in the
Any
US
urban
or
area.
anywhere. So the price point is very simple, is very easy, and we are hoping that more and more people will sign up to become guardians, will support the cause, and therefore it will become a self-sustaining, financially self-sustaining engine.
Yeah.
So the companies that have supported us, we are really grateful to Microsoft for Startups Middle East.
Yeah.
So they supported us last year, and this year, in fact, just this morning, we have received information from them that they're supporting us for one more year with our technology platform, which is on the cloud. So they're supporting us with Azure credits. So that is a huge endorsement in the fact that Microsoft is walking the talk when it comes to their climate agenda, when it comes to talking about sustainability. I mean, we read a lot about things like greenwashing, but we are grateful to see that Microsoft is supporting a startup like us.
Yeah.
There are other companies which are also supporting us, or there are people
Individuals
who are supporting us, who are working with us, and maybe saying that, okay, I'm willing to support you pro bono for a point, and then and then we go on with commercial terms.
But at the same time, I'm very confident that this is an enterprise that will create a sustainable business model around. Yeah, because this has to last. In fact, when we were scripting our terms and conditions, the brief we gave to a lawyer is that this is a 300-year-old company that you're writing the terms and conditions for. This company has to outlast us. Yeah, because the forest is forever, we are not. So with that in mind, I'm extremely confident that this will be a sustainable enterprise. We are extremely encouraged by the conversations we're having with companies. Microsoft in particular is the one that she mentioned, but individuals too, who are coming forward. There are many kindred spirits, I can assure you that, who are keen to make a difference, and I think we are a good option for them. We require support in various ways. Yeah, so one is in terms of technology, management capabilities, because it's just two of us, and we have our first supporter was one of our best friends.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
Sudhir.
he's our co-founder as well.
He's a co-founder, and he just heard the concept. He said, "I'm in," right? So how much is the deal? I'm on, right? So that's one level of support where you have people coming forward and saying that, look, I'd like to be involved in it. Second is companies coming forward, with their technologies, with their capabilities, with their practices. So law firms, which we're actively engaged with, and they coming in to say that, listen, let's just see what we can do together.
For example, DWF is a big law firm which is headquartered in the UK but has offices all over the world. So their lawyer from Dubai, he has been working very closely with us, and he has been supporting us. He's our legal counsel for Sacred Groves. DWF has showcased Sacred Groves as a case study in their sustainability report.
Yeah.
So a whole lot of companies are supporting us. There is again a big investment firm which is based in Dubai, which has supported us. by supporting sacred grove clusters. So as guardians. So
Yeah,
a whole
as
lot
guardians,
of
yeah.
companies are also supporting us as guardians. A lot of individuals are supporting us as guardians. Now that is what gets the engine going.
Yeah.
So when people support us as guardians, then we have the funds to support the next forest and the next and the next. So that's how we can
So we
continue
have
on
a
this
big
journey.
pipeline actually at the moment. So we are just hopeful that it all comes together, because I think it's a no-brainer. Forests require support, and whoever can play their part, we'd love to get involved with them.
Yes.
Yeah, we got 2 forests in the UK and 1 in Canada. So it's hard to really put a value to the forest, because there's no financial value beyond the point to some of these spaces.
I mean, it's not a direct answer to your question, but sometime last year, we read this report by BCG, which tried to put a value to the forests of the world, and they put it at upwards of $150 trillion.
Yeah.
And they also said, as a caveat, that the world's forests can never be valued because they give humanity and all living species so many benefits, but we have still tried to put a value on it. Now this is, you can't put a value to the oxygen you breathe.
So there's a very interesting
So-
study by McKinsey as well, right? Which says that what is the price of a forest? What's the true value of a forest, right? So they made an assessment that
Of a palm oil forest
palm oil,
in Indonesia.
yeah, this was a palm oil
2000
thing, yeah.
So the old study,
So
2009 or something.
a cut forest for palm oil got a valuation of $17,500 an hectare. Forest standing, yeah, what will be the value? So there is some interesting creative accounting where they looked at, okay, if you had to generate that level of oxygen, if you had to offset the carbon, and so on. So they made a lot of effort to create a valuation around that, and it came to about $5,500.
It's a
per
published
hectare.
McKinsey
Yeah.
study.
So now the point I'm making here is that $17,500, the local economy gets immediately. Yeah. So when the local economy gets that immediately, people around have a vested commercial interest in destroying the forest. And if it stays, then that $5,500 is just notional. It's up in the air. Yeah. So that's the difference. So that,
Having said that, now we are realizing, the world is, I think, realizing with the floods in Europe and with the wildfires in North America, that you cannot put a value to these things because we still, as humans, don't know how they affect weather patterns. We don't know, our accounting and our economics and our definitions today are not adequate to value these natural resources. So it's actually, you can actually not put a real value to it.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, if you cut down the forest, then there's no rainfall, and then there is a drought. You don't know what, even the climate models that scientists have today are guesstimates.
I think the biggest challenge for us is to get more and more guardians on board.
Awareness.
And spreading awareness. So therefore, these conversations are extremely helpful. So the more guardians who come on board, who support us, the more forests we'll be able to support. That's one big challenge. The second big challenge is to work with governments of countries where forests genuinely need a lot of protection and support. So what we're trying to actually tell some of these institutions is that your forest today is a non-performing asset. It's a cost center because you're spending money to protect it, right? When we get involved with you and we, come into a management contract, then we help you monetize that, yeah. And once that monetization happens, then you can use that revenue to, fund whatever aspirations that you have. So many of these countries, have been going to, say, for example, the UN asking for carbon tax. And if you actually go back in time, this is a 25 to 30-year-old conversation between institutions and governments,
right? For example, the government of Bhutan has been going to the UN to say that we have been protecting our forests.
It's not just Bhutan. It's like
there are only two or three
yeah,
countries today that are carbon negative.
Yeah. So these countries are going to, the World Bank and the United Nations saying that let's look at a carbon tax regime, right, which has not come through yet. So all that we are trying to, have a conversations on these governments is that by coming up with mechanisms like these, you can get a lot of people involved across the world, and it can open up a new revenue stream. And for us, the important point is to convince them that all that we are, wanting to do is to conserve these beautiful spaces, which today are at danger of destruction. So those are really our two big ones, which is how do you convince more and more guardians and make them aware that there's a mechanism like sacred groves which is available to them. I mean, you can start protecting a forest in 3 minutes, right? You can get onto the app and
3 minutes
involved,
or less,
right?
if you are.
So each forest takes us almost a year to onboard, right? So what takes us 1 year, now the guardians can do that in 3 minutes, right? So that's one. And second, of course, is working with governments on pristine habitats that we can bring onto the platform. So I think we're very pleased with the fact that the UAE is committed to COP28, and I think that's a feather in the UAE's cap, and it also endorses the strategic agenda that the government has in terms of driving sustainability to the core of the country's DNA. So yes, we'll be delighted to have conversations not just with the UAE, with the other governments as well, and see in what form and capacity we can participate. Talk about the UAE, the natural biodiversity of the UAE has also really fascinated us. So this weekend we were at Kalba, and that's a conservation zone, and there's a beautiful
there's a
mangrove area.
300-year-old mangrove forest in Kalba, which we were privileged to experience.
Yeah.
Because last year they have built this visitor center where one can go into the mangrove up to a point and see the beauty of the place.
So what we did not know of is that there's a kingfisher bird there.
The Arabian collared kingfisher.
The Arabian collared kingfisher. There are only 55 pairs in the wild, and that's the only area where that bird is found, right? So it's in the danger of extinction. So every country, every place has a story to tell, when it comes to nature, enjoying its biodiversity. And I think UAE in its own way is extremely unique, and I'm delighted that it's showing its care by participating in COP28 and probably leading that conversation as well. So we are from Delhi, our parents are from there. Both of us, in terms of our background, we are finance professionals. So I work in a leading bank here in the region. Been here together for 15 years in Dubai,
Yes.
and it's been a fantastic experience for us.
So my background is working for India's oldest development finance institution, the time that we were living in India. And when we moved to Dubai with Vikram's job, I gave it up to become a full-time parent. Now our daughters are both have both flown the nest. Our older daughter is working. Our younger daughter has just started university.
So I know it sounds a bit corny, but it's our third baby, right?
It's literally, yes, it is our third. And our little baby will be 2 years old in February.
Yeah, 25th February is
the day that
Yeah.
the Sacred Groves was incorporated as a community interest company.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because we are Indians. Our company is incorporated in the UK, and we call the UAE home. And our aspiration is to have a global impact where we can conserve, protect habitats all over the world, can have guardians from all over the world who believe in conservation and who want to participate in it.
And I think our main message is that every little action counts, right? So it's, when you're looking at this whole topic of climate change, and I must admit that we also went through a process where I was suffering from eco-anxiety. I was just worried about the fact that, things are the way they are, and it's a huge problem. How do you solve that? So while I may not have a great answer, nor does the world, unfortunately, at the moment, in terms of how do we deal with this, But the point really is that every little action can make a difference. Yeah. So
wha-
wherever you are in whichever part of the world, as long as you're conscious about what you're doing, as long as you're aware of your choices, and as long as you are, as Monisha said earlier, as long as you're hopeful that whatever little you do can make a difference, then just do it, right? And that's how we would sort of summarize.
I think that's
what we're
really
trying to
our
do.
message. Be aware, know what's happening around, be mindful of your choices and what you do, and be hopeful. It's a very simple 3-point message, which, but
Yeah.
yes, take the first step.
Yeah, it is-
Take the first
yeah,
step,
take
do
a step.
something, do anything, but do it.